what we're going to do for this section is I'm going to have Avonlea from our team come up and talk you through guilt, and then we're going to take you through the process of ready, set, go.
Are we on? There we go. Hi everyone, I'm Avonlea Roy and I'm a law certified trainer, which is kind of ironic because I went to my first law event 4 years ago, kicking and screaming. I did not want to be there. It was a mandatory meeting that showed up on my calendar at work and I was like, I don't have time for this. I am so busy. I don't know who these OOLA guys are. I don't have anything to do with that. And I will tell you, within the first like 20 minutes, guilt hit me pretty hard. Because I was like, oh my gosh, this is my tribe. Like, these are my people. I've been studying success and leadership for years, since my early 20s. And from 2005 to 2006, I studied at a school called the Institute of Healing Arts, where I certified in an emotional release process designed to help people heal core wounds and process stuff like this. Recovered fear, frustration, overwhelmment, confusion, anger, self-image, envy, jealousy, resentment, control, need for approval, judgment, guilt, shame, sadness, despair, out of control, burden, all the things, okay? I mean, how many of you are triggered by any of those words that I just mentioned? How many of you are triggered by the word up here right now? Everything you admit in this room stays in this room. So last year, I had to process some guilt. And I wrote this in my little book. You guys have your books sitting here. And it was funny because when Dave asked me, okay, is there a blocker or an accelerator that you want to talk about? And I was like, oh yeah, accelerators, man. Love, passion, discipline, those are fun things to talk about. Okay, well, maybe not discipline. But I want to talk about the good, the juicy stuff. And I started flipping through my book and I landed on guilt. And I was like, oh my gosh, I kind of forgot that I had processed this last year. I texted Dave back and I'm like, I think I want to do guilt. And he's like, good. You can have it. Nobody wants to talk about guilt. And so I want to share with you my story. About a month or two before OolaPalooza last year, my mom and my sisters had all been having fun without me. Has anybody been there where like somebody in my family has hurt me? I got really left out in a situation where I have two sisters who live out of state, and one of them was coming into town, and we were all getting together for a family dinner. And I'm on my way to family dinner. My husband's driving. I'm flipping through Instagram. And I see a picture of my mom and all my sisters. One of them had flown into town, a big surprise, and they were all hanging out without me. And I was like, ugh, I just got punched in the gut. And I wanted to cry right then and there. And here I am about to like pull into family dinner. And I walk in the door and I'm just still like in shock, like, hello, where was the invitation? And they were like, immediately they knew they had done something wrong. And they were like, oh, we're sorry, it just kind of happened. And I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna cry. Pride, ego, this is, I'm not gonna go there. And the next day I'm like sobbing on my husband's shoulder. Like, I can't believe you did it to me. And I was still holding on to that when I got to OolaPalooza. And I was like, this is the wedge. That if I hold on to this, the way that my relationship with my mom and my sisters is gonna look down the road is not a good picture. But I still hadn't figured out how to let that go. In addition to that, I had a sister who I felt like she'd been kind of attacking me lately, like little mean messages and the way that she would make a comment, and I was like, she's judging me, she's criticizing me, this really hurts. And I have to tell you, I have so much love for this sister because she helped me through a really hard time in my life. I was a single mom, I had to put myself through college. She would watch my kids for me. She watched my kids when I started working and I was doing a lot of business travel. I love this sister, and something was off. And I was the one who was hurt, and I needed to forgive. So I'll tell you, if you are hurt right now, it means you're holding judgment over someone else. You're making them guilty. And that might be one of the ways this shows up for you. That's the way it showed up for me last year. I needed to forgive. Well, I kid you not, 2 days after OolaPalooza, I get home and I get another really kind of snide remark from my sister, and I just stopped, got up from my desk, called my mom, cried. Is my sister mad at me? Is Sarah mad at me for some reason? What is going on? And we talked for a minute, and then I just broke down and I said, I'm really hurt that you guys went and hung out without me. And my mom, I could just hear her regret over the phone. She was like, I know, I'm so sorry. It just happened. I felt really bad about it. And I was able to release that by just confessing to her how hurt I was. And then I called my sister, or I actually sent her a text, and I said, Sarah, first of all, I want you to know how much I love you and how grateful I am for you and everything that you've done for me and my kids. Lately, I feel like you've been making some remarks that kind of hurt, like I feel belittled or judged or criticized. And this is the part that's going to surprise you. I said, I want to know if I've done something to hurt you. And I would love to know what I can do to make it right. Because I value our relationship. And I got a text message back that was like this long. I'm like scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and I was like, whoa. I didn't know that this was going on. I didn't know that this was hurting her this way. She'd been like carrying resentment since we were 2 years old, you know? But it was the opportunity for me to take accountability, a willingness to see the truth, take accountability, and apologize, and tell her that I value this relationship and I want to do what it takes to make it right. And I recommitted to being a better sister. And our relationship is so much better now. Next week I get to go hang out with my mom and all my sisters in New York City, and it's going to be great. But that trip probably would have felt a lot different this year if I hadn't taken the time to heal my hurt feelings and to seek forgiveness from someone that I had hurt. So what I love about that clip from Maleficent is that Maleficent was hurt. I don't know if you've seen the movie, but in this film, she was deeply betrayed by someone she loved and trusted. And that turned into her doing something that she really regretted and could have been permanent damage to someone she loved. See, the truth is, we are all victims and we are all villains in our own stories. Okay? So let's talk about how you get over this. If you're in the first category, if you've been hurt by someone you love, the first step is to choose to forgive. So I want you to touch somebody and say, let it go. Let it go. All right. Because the problem with unforgiveness is it's like a cancer in your soul, and it spreads. It drives that wedge into your relationships. Unforgiveness is sending energy to the past, where you've been. And then you don't have enough energy left for where you're going, all those beautiful dreams that you stuck on your surfboard today. Because all the energy is going back there to something you can't change, right? Forgiveness is like medicine, and it has the power to heal. I want to share a quote that I found in the book one time that says, Jesus said we ought to forgive 70 times 7. And I don't think he meant that we should go out and find 490 people to transgress against us. I think Jesus was trying to tell us that deep wounds require more than just one pass of forgiveness before they can be truly healed. Now, I know we've talked about this a little bit here at Oola, but sometimes you're in a dangerous situation. Sometimes you need to take action to create healthy boundaries. And if that's you, I'm going to urge you to create those healthy boundaries before you try to move through this process of forgiveness. Because if you're in an abusive situation where you're in danger, your kids are in danger, you can't go on letting them hurt you over and over again. That's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness doesn't mean you allow someone to keep on hurting you. So I want to just firmly state, get yourself safe, and then start working on that process of healing and forgiveness. So let's talk about the second group now. Okay, so we've talked about the people who are hurt and need to seek forgiveness for someone else. What if you're someone who's hurt someone you love and you need to get that forgiveness? Because, you know, in David Troy's first book, they talk about how, like I said, we're also all the villain. We've all said and done something that has hurt someone that we love. And I love one of the phrases in this book, Dave, you called Troy when your life was pretty rough. You're like, what do I do? And he said, you need to ask for forgiveness from the people that you love, find out what you can do to make it right, and then most importantly, forgive yourself. And Dave says in his book, to this day, that is the most important lesson Troy has taught him. That's a pretty profound statement. It's pretty powerful. I'm like, and I'm the one who's up here talking about guilt. So, to just go through this forgiveness process, I kind of demonstrated what that looks like when I texted my sister. Number one, I want you guys to write this down. There's a 4-step forgiveness process. Number one, take accountability and ask for forgiveness. Number two, ask what you can do to make it right. Number three, ask God for forgiveness. And finally, number four, forgive yourself. And sometimes that's the hardest part. Yes, absolutely. Number one, take accountability, which is asking for forgiveness. I know I did something wrong. And in my situation, I didn't know I hurt my sister. I thought I was the one that was being hurt. But something prompted me to say, I need to know if I've done something to hurt you. Because I really want to make it right. I value our relationship. It required a willingness to see the truth. So number one, take accountability, ask for forgiveness. Number two, ask what you can do to make it right. Number three, ask forgiveness from God. And finally, forgive yourself. Because the truth is, you're always doing the best that you know how with the information that you've been given. Okay? You're always doing the best that you know how under any given circumstance. And when you know better, you do better. So forgive yourself. Because just like Dave said, no matter what you've done or failed to do, you deserve an Oola life. You are worthy. You are designed for greatness and a purpose. Let it go. Forgive yourself, forgive others, and go live your Oola life.